famous anthem tracks. Boy, I ain't playing.
This is street beef scrapyard. We ain't gotta act hard. SASQUATCH backyard, we flipping like a flashcard. Guns down, gloves up, or shut up. That part. Guns down, gloves up, or shut up. That part. Street beef scrapyard. We ain't gotta act hard. SASQUATCH backyard, we flipping like a flashcard. Guns down, gloves up, or shut up. That part. Guns down, gloves up, or shut up. That part. Here we go again. It's a trend. This is every month. Guns down, gloves up, or shut up and knuckle up. I can take you on a ride, but you might wanna buckle up. Street beef scrapyard. Next stop coming up. Preach some. Pray for them. I ain't finna play with them. Fried chicken told me it's good, so I'm thanking them. Gumby give it glory to God. Keep praising them. Got a couple dragons around, you know, chasing them. Jake got him on the scene back again, kicking it like crazy legs, gashing the African. Summertime vibes might leave him with an epic 10. I know you've seen the videos and you don't want to mess with them. Scarface made it possible for all places. Now all places fucking with Scarface the long way. No disrespect, no. You might get checked, yeah. But win or lose, there's no regrets. This is street beef scrapyard. We ain't gotta act hard. SASQUATCH backyard, we flipping like a flashcard. Guns down, gloves up, or shut up. That part. Guns down, gloves up, or shut up. That part. Street beef scrapyard. We ain't gotta act hard. SASQUATCH backyard, we flipping like a flashcard. Guns down, gloves up, or shut up. That part. Guns down, gloves up, or shut up. That part. I was fresh, just stepped on the scene back in the dub. So when I say I'm rapping, I mean packages up. Motherfuckers acting like masters have had enough. So when I get my 15 minutes, I'm acting up. Yeah, hand me down Levi jeans, I patch them up. Cause life won't give enough chances to pass them up. I dropped out of classes, the math wasn't adding up. Now you're stuck, out of luck, just watch me stacking up. Yeah, everything I say when I'm rapping, I back it up. It's more than just lyrics, you feel me? I pack a punch. On shopping sprees, I act like a fat nigga packing lunch. Just a pack of us who wanted to eat, and we had enough. Yeah. Check my numbers, you see that they adding up. And if you can't use a dumbass nigga, just saddle up. And hit the plane, don't give me no turbulence. The only clip you get is on some 9-to-5 burger shit. This is street beef scrapyard.
All right, that's it. What's up, guys? Fire Chicken here at the Scrapyard. I just want to start off with a little bit of Jay Gotham. You know, you guys hear the intro all the time when I put out videos, but you don't ever get to hear the entire song. I did make a highlight reel music video for it. You can look it up. It's on my channel. He also did a live performance on our Halloween party, our Halloween event. You could just search Jay Gotham, I guess on YouTube, because I actually have that his whole set that he did on a separate YouTube. So it's different than the two channels that I upload videos to. Okay, so what brought along me wanting to do a live video in the middle of the week? First off, happy Veterans Day. You know, appreciate all the veterans, everything they've done for our country. One day just isn't enough to honor them. So, all right. We already got some fighters in the house here. We got two explosive. We got Simo. If you're a Street Beef fighter, put your fight name up and I'll give you a shout out. Okay. So the question in Street Beefs, and this isn't in the main branch, was, I'm right here right now. We can all agree that wrestling is the best base for MMA, right? They did say mama. So a bunch of people were giving him crap about saying mama. Now, you got to look at this question how I look at it. So first off, I'm going to tell you about my experience with martial arts. I started out young, growing up watching boxing, even mixed martial arts back in the day when it first started out. I would see Gracie and Shamrock and all those when I was younger. My dad would buy all the pay-per-views. And then I even did some boxing when I was 9. I did a boxing match. But I didn't really start training martial arts until, I think it was 2004. So I was like, I know I'm dating myself here, but I was like 20, 21 years old. And I started taking this martial art, but a lot of the people in the group were MMA fighters. So this gave me a real chance to see the difference between competitive fighters and martial artists. Okay. Generally, I don't want to get too much into that discussion right now. basically feel like if you're training for a skilled opponent, somebody that has combat experience, you're going to have a lot harder time fighting them than you would fighting somebody who's done traditional martial arts without a lot of, like real fights. Because fighting experience is, it's hard to replace that. There's all the theory that goes along with it. What's up, Gash? There's all the theory that goes along with it. You can study martial arts your whole life. You can read about it. You can do katas. You can do all that stuff. But unless you're, but the combat sports, those are the ones that are meant to go against skilled opponents. For the most part, your traditional martial arts generally are meant to defend you against non-skilled opponents. People throwing haymakers at you, people grabbing your shirt, that kind of stuff. But combat sports, that's teaching you to fight a skilled opponent that knows how to keep their hands up, knows combinations, whatever martial art you want to, or whatever combat sport you want to go with there. Okay, so but back to the question. So it's like, well, what's the best one to start out with? Well, that's an easy question for most people to answer. They're going to say wrestling. Why are they going to say wrestling? Well, they pull up this chart from like 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago that's got a graph and it shows wrestling as being the dominant one. That's fine. But let's take into consideration effectiveness, accessibility. Those are the two I want to talk about right now. Okay, so say you're 8 years old and your parents are looking to get you into something, maybe self-defense, maybe a sport. Wrestling is just, it teaches you how to defend yourself. It teaches you personal accountability for how hard you train. It's a very tough sport physically. It's great. I have not said anything bad about wrestling at all. And I say, like, if you're a parent, get your kids in wrestling. The other alternative is you could put, and a lot of parents are going to be kind of against some of this because you look at like striking stuff like karate. Karate's generally pretty safe. They kind of numb down fighting so much in karate that it's not as dangerous. Like, you can't punch each other in the face. It's all point sparring and that kind of stuff. So as far as transferring over to real world skills, I don't see karate that you first learn as a kid going to transfer over. Yes, after doing it for many years, you're going to get tougher and tougher. But when you're a kid and you're doing wrestling, you're wrestling just as hard as you are when you're an adult. The difference is you go against people that know more as an adult or a teenager or whatever. So the accessibility of wrestling, though, let's look at it that way. How many schools out there offer wrestling? A ton of them. I mean, you can go to like just about any school and they say, oh yeah, we offer wrestling. Great. Okay, now that's your base, right? We'll go back to that chart. How many of these champions have a wrestling base? Okay, that's because they started at a young age. You don't necessarily have to start martial arts at a young age to be a successful martial artist. Boxing, very effective. Kickboxing, Muay Thai, very effective. But a lot of parents don't want to put their kids in these striking arts at a young age where they're worried about them getting concussions. And how am I contradicting what I'm saying? I'm saying that wrestling is great, it's accessible, but is it necessarily the most effective? I don't think it is. I think that there are more dangerous martial arts out there. I think jiu-jitsu is much more dangerous as far as being able to break an arm, a limb. That's the intent. Choking people out, that's the intent of jiu-jitsu. Striking arts, Muay Thai, boxing, your intent is to harm your opponent. Wrestling, not so much. Your intent is to pin your opponent. But you do learn very good core values. You learn control, you learn all that kind of stuff. So what's the best martial art to learn as a kid? Well, the best is completely subjective. It's what you want to consider the best. You can't use that chart because that chart just shows what certain people got into as a kid. But who knows? What if they would have got into boxing first? Now, obviously, as a mixed martial artist, you need to know all of it. You got to know takedown defense. You have to know how to scramble. You have to know submission defense. You have to know some basic submissions. Well, just say it. I don't mean to be getting offensive, Terrifier. I'm just saying, like, I want to know how I contradicted myself so I can explain further, because I might have explained it incorrectly. So I just want to know. But anyway, so yeah, but who knows if somebody would have got into a different martial art as a kid. Taekwondo. So I kind of look at Taekwondo a lot as like karate. It's flashy and everything, but when you mix Muay Thai into it, which is to me a more brutal martial art, you learn some flashy, awesome kicks, but then you also learn some, ruthless attacks. Just like I think you need wrestling and BJJ, you need both of those. BJJ by itself is great, but if your idea of taking somebody down is sitting on your butt and then scooting toward them, I know I'm exaggerating a little bit, but the takedowns that you get from wrestling are superior to that of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's like comparing Jiu-Jitsu to Judo. Like Judo, the takedowns in Judo are phenomenal, but the submission side of Judo is not up to where Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is. So if you put a BJJ black belt up against a Judo black belt, for the most part, the Judo guy is going to throw him around until he goes to the ground, and then the BJJ black belt's going to submit the Judo guy. Now, this is like majority of times. I'm not saying 100% on any of this stuff. So then Muay Thai. Yeah, I mean, I haven't personally done any specific Muay Thai. I've been in boxing. I've been in. I started to go through my history, but I coached wrestling for 5 years. I've been doing BJJ since 2004, and I've been doing boxing for 4 or 5 years now. I do have to deal with kicks a lot as doing MMA. It's part of the game, but you can learn to push your style on somebody else as long as you know the defense to the other styles. So there's wrestling is the best base because you can start early and train more than other martial arts without hurting yourself. It's not the fact that. So, look, I get what you're saying there, and I'm not disagreeing, but I can go find a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school now. It's different now. Okay, you go back 20 years ago, you weren't going to find Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu schools, but now I could take my kids, and if I wanted to pay like $200 a month or whatever outrageous thing a lot of these places charge, I could get them into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and they're common now. There's probably 10 to 15 Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu schools within 50 miles of me or more. There's probably more. So I mean, there's no shortage of getting. Tony, Bruce Lee would have got waxed in the UFC. I'll get to that in a minute. I don't mean to stir up any crap there, but I'll get to that in a minute. So anyway, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is easily found now. And boxing, you can get kids into boxing too. It's just that the majority of parents don't want to put their kids into some of these martial arts. Okay. And one reason that some of those other martial arts are better than wrestling is that you can do them year round for the most part. A lot of times wrestling is seasonal. So somebody that says I've got 10 years of wrestling experience might only have 10 years of seasonal wrestling experience, whereas somebody that has 10 years of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu might have 10 full years where they're going, 3, 4, or 5 times a week. So what I'm getting at is there is no best martial art to start out with. They offer different advantages and disadvantages, whether it's easy to access, whether it's harder on your body, all that stuff. They're all different. So the fact that the topic was that wrestling is the best base I just don't agree with that. I think that you can supplement it in with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or any of the other martial arts, and then you can add to those as you progress through your mixed martial arts. What's the word I'm looking for? Knowledge, as you want to be more of a complete fighter. So by the time you get into actual competition, your stats are going to look like, you've got your main stat, which is what you started out with, but then you're going to have your other stats, which could be wrestling, which could be Muay Thai, all these things. But I'm just like I said, I'm saying that it's subjective. It depends on the person. There's so many factors in it, and yeah. So I hope I explained that. Now I want to talk about Bruce Lee for a minute. And first off, I'm not hating on Bruce Lee. I think that the guy was a pioneer. The guy's philosophy of adapting to your environment. But I think that's all great, and it still plays in today, and that even plays into mixed martial arts, where you have to know how to defend against your opponent. You have to know striking defense. You have to know wrestling defense. He was a complete package. Like he knew, like, hey, I need to know how to defend against this and that. Now, the reason why I said Bruce Lee would get destroyed today, and that's meaning if you just took him and you grabbed him out of time and said, okay, get in the cage and fight, would he would win? Yeah, he's going to win. But one factor that wasn't very prevalent back then was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Okay, so yes, he did a little bit of training in it, but that's like saying, putting in a white belt against a whole field of black belts and brown belts and purple belts. I don't know if you've ever personally rolled with a black belt before in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I have a few times, and it's one of the most humbling experiences that you can. You're not in control at all. I mean, they are in control the whole time, and so Bruce Lee would have to come in. He would need training ahead of time to adapt, which he would do. He would openly adapt. I know he would, to these different types of martial arts that are out now. But I think that with his open mind, he could adapt. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. PA Hitman, he would get, but that's only if he didn't have time to prepare. There's a lot of fighters out there that aren't Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts, but they have a lot of training in defending against Jiu-Jitsu. So you have to have that modern day training, I feel, in order to succeed in modern day martial arts. It's mixed martial arts. But PA Hitman, you're Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt right here. I hope you come out to the scrapyard someday, man. I would love to roll with you. Please don't heel hook me. But speaking of BJJ matches, you guys know I do BJJ matches like every event. If you didn't know and you're new, please hit the subscribe button. It's right under you. Like, I do these lives sometimes, usually when something strikes my motivates me to make a video, or I come up with a list of updates and everything. I'll make a video and address the fan base. But I like being in touch with you guys and getting feedback. So please subscribe so that when I do one of these lives, and you guys can also see our fights when I drop them. I dropped a fight today. I'm going to drop a fight tomorrow. I did a little bit of different stuff on the fight. I hope you guys like it. I'm always trying to be innovative and basically come up with new ideas on things. So yeah, man, dude, if you could get out here whenever, we got, so what's the best style then? I don't believe there's any best style. The best style, which is not a style, which is mixed martial arts, is the best. Why is it the best? Because you're adapting to every single type of martial arts. That's not saying that a mixed martial artist has better boxing than a boxer. That's why when you put Conor McGregor in there with Floyd Mayweather, he doesn't have a chance, because he's not a boxer. He's a mixed martial artist. But you put Floyd Mayweather in an MMA match, he wouldn't last too long. So mixed martial arts is basically, I mean, look at martial arts though. A lot of the martial arts like Jeet Kune Do, they're just mixed martial arts anyway. He ain't your weight class. I'll tell you that. He's like 160. I met him in Virginia. Cool guy. I saw him fight. Saw you fight. Yeah. I saw you fight one time. Okay. So mixed martial arts, though, it adapts you to be able to have the best chance against all these different martial arts. But it does in no way make you better than all of a specific martial art. Understand? So, what was it like? Vanderlei Silva said, it's better to be a purple belt in everything than a black belt in one thing. Yeah, I gotta ask though, PA Hitman. So look, I've wanted to ask you this for a while, but I didn't want to. I don't know. I just never got around to it. So I saw one of your fights, and one of my favorite submissions is the arm triangle, and I saw you trying to finish somebody with the arm triangle, but you're having a little bit of issues with it. Do you normally try to finish it from mount position, or do you try to finish it from? See, I like going to side control to try to finish that one, but that's always been one of my favorites. I even have this slick one that I do from guard, where I slip a punch or get onto the outside, and then I figure for it, and then I do a scissor sweep, and I roll my opponent, and I go immediately into side control, and then I get on my toes, I walk up on like a clock. Unless they know the arm triangle defense, they're pretty much screwed. But anyway, I love talking BJJ stuff. Ron, Anomaly, he's got me talking about that stuff too, because I found another guy that's into BJJ stuff. And Terrifier, phenomenal wrestler right here. Scary, yeah. And you got a match against Morningstar next month. Boxing's a good start. Let me bring up one more thing that Bruce Lee said, okay? Oh, I thought there was a reason to it, man. I knew it. If you wear a rash guard out where we're at, you'll be good. Our ground isn't super hard, but you can get turf burn a little bit. Anyway, shoot, I totally forgot I was gonna say something about Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee had a quote one time, and he said I'm going to butcher this quote, but he said something along the lines of, a person with a year of boxing and wrestling can defeat a lifelong martial artist. That is true. And he recognized that when he got over here, he saw how dominating wrestling and boxing were, and he had to adapt his style because he was exposed to something new, because that's what Bruce Lee did. He adapted and adjusted like you need to do. He would not go into a mixed martial arts fight, at least not over and over again, without substantial training in BJJ. I read this. How do you feel about the Gracies? Okay, the Gracies are the ones that made Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu completely. They took it and they made it better, and then they made it public. So if you were here in the 1980s and you were fighting, and say they brought the UFC in the 80s and the Gracies weren't around yet, it would have been a different thing back then, because if the Gracies never joined, you never would have seen the level of jiu-jitsu that was introduced into mixed martial arts. So you would have seen guys like Shamrock that have some, what do they call that? Catch wrestling or submission grappling. It's just kind of more of a more basic. It didn't go as deep as what the Gracies were used to. It was more of a wrestling jiu-jitsu, I think is what they call it. It's Japanese based, but yeah, I think that the Gracies did a great thing by bringing it into the UFC and showing he's a pioneer. His philosophy is a pioneer. Like the way that he approached the idea of mixed martial arts. Yes, he was a pioneer in that, and also making his own martial arts and incorporating different stuff. So yes, I would say that's a good statement. Salute to Overtime Hustler Magazine. Overtime hustling in the house. Overtime hustling in the house. Check out Cuzzo's reactions every Sunday. Not every Sunday, but a lot of Sunday nights. He reacts to Street Beef Scrapyard, Street Beefs, and Street Beefs West Coast. He reacts to our fights, guys. So you might get featured on there too. They also went with us to Virginia, so that was cool having them there. Except Cuzzo didn't make it. You know I love you, Cuzzo. I'm just playing. So anyway, the Gracies, yes. So nobody could combat that style back then because nobody had experience that went as deep as their experience. You even had like Dan Severn. I personally met him. I got a picture with him. Really cool guy. But I mean, that guy was a top level wrestler. Like, I'd like to see him wrestle Terrifier. But he's top level. So top level wrestler. And he weighed like 240, 250, and he got submitted by Hoist Gracie, who was 170. So it's a testament to how effective jiu-jitsu is when the level gap, that right there, the Gracies exposed the gap in between knowledge. All right. So basically you got these guys that have some grappling experience like the Shamrocks and all that, and then you put them up against somebody with the grappling experience of the Gracies, and it was no contest. Shamrock outweighed Gracie by a lot and had a strength advantage and grappling experience. So his grappling level was higher than a lot of other people's, especially in the way that he used it. Dan Severn's grappling style was more, folk style wrestling. It was collegiate. He wasn't trained to punch people, whereas Shamrock, I think, was more of a ground and pounder. But it shows you the experience gap. So, yo, Scrapyard, I'm finna take over y'all 145, 155 division. Barn, are you already a fighter out here? And are you talking MMA or boxing? Because the best way to prove what you're saying is to show up and glove up. But I like your confidence. I do like your confidence. Everybody needs that confidence. I want to see more of that. I want to see people come in and say, I'm going to take your belts. I'm going to win. I like respectfulness, and I don't mind the competitiveness of it. You know, the confidence has got to be there. People that will fight anybody, not people that want to handpick their opponents. Khabib's a phenomenal grappler. He's on another level. In my opinion, Khabib's probably one of the best wrestlers. One of the best wrestlers in the entire UFC of all time. I want you to wrestle a UFC legend. Come on, man. You don't think that would get views? If Mr. Severn, the Beast, came out and you guys did a grappling match? I hope so. Join our Facebook group and sign up, man. Fair Play's coming out next month. So I'm doing a grappling match against Fair Play because you know I love doing those. But the big match is Jay Gotham versus Fair Play in an MMA match. Wow. And Terrifier versus Morningstar. Heavyweight MMA match next month. And Solo versus Scorpion kickboxing match. Solo's coming back, everybody. I know everybody's been bugging me, sending me messages on Instagram, commenting, where's Solo? Where's Solo? Well, Solo's coming back. You got to see him next month. But what about this month? What do we got this month? We got a beef fight between Scotty Showtime, one of the most charismatic, loudest fan favorites that we've had join the Scrapyard. Also very talented and exceptionally, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess I already used all the words. I ran out of words. Anyway, he is fighting Viking Warrior, who has his own resume, which includes 7 or 8 wins in the Scrapyard with no losses and a championship belt, as well as an MMA background. So it's an MMA match. Who do I got? Jay Gotham versus Fair Play. I can't comment on that, guys. Like personally, I've got my ideas on who's going to win that, but I don't really want to share them just because it's conflict of interest kind of deal. Like, I Fair Play. I've met him in Virginia too, along with PA Hitman there. Awesome guy, like one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Jay Gotham, dude, guy is phenomenal. He's a phenomenal human being. How do you feel about Paulo Costo? The guy is a freaking monster, I think, but he didn't make weight by like 20 pounds last time, from what I heard. So at that point, you're just not trying anymore. Dana White does not like that. Fair Play will lose that. Hey, you know what though? That fight could go either way. I don't know. Like, to be honest, the majority of stuff that I've seen Fair Play. I know he does MMA, but the majority of stuff that I've seen him do is boxing. He's a phenomenal boxer, but Jay Gotham is so innovative on his striking. I think Fair Play's got a jiu-jitsu advantage, but Jay Gotham has some good wrestling. He's also physically strong. I've rolled with Jay Gotham before. Where's Beach? Beach is near the ocean. Oh, I'm a troll. No, so this is the Scrapyard branch. We are located in the Pacific Northwest, Washington State. Beach has not made it out here yet. We made it out to Virginia last June 5th. Yes, I met Beach there. Super chill guy, just like you would expect. If either way, Sir Yeetus, I like your name. Yeet. Anyway, hey, you know what? Either way, it's going to be a great match, and it's the fans want it. And I'm looking at the weather too, and I know it's a long ways out, and we can be hopeful, but it's looking like it's not going to rain. It's the biggest thing here in Washington State is the rain. We got rained on in the October event, big time. Now the November and December events are going to run kind of close together. They're only going to be, I guess, they're 20 days apart. It's not the worst in the world, but we're going to run them kind of close. So I'm going to actually run it. I'm not going to be able to put out all my fights before the following event. I got people messaging me. I've been ignoring it. Oh, it's just my group chat. Hi. I'm talking old school stuff. We're talking old school stuff about when I used to compete, Viking Warrior used to compete, and Nerd Rage used to compete. We all competed in MMA at the same time. And Viking is obviously, in it again. And I stay practiced up. I compete every once in a while. I'm probably the oldest out of all those guys, but and then you got Nerd Rage, who's getting ready to go pro. Who are the fighters I should watch from the scrapyard? Okay. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus here, but I got to go kind of with I'm going to mention some names, some of our past names, but then I'm going to mention I would say like our up and coming fighters. And anybody that's in here, yes, I just fought in June and I do grappling matches every month. So I do. I don't like to do boxing matches all the time. With the scrapyard and everything that I'm running, I don't really have time to train that dedicated to training. And I don't like to go into matches. I don't like to go into matches like unprepared. You get what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm always prepared with grappling, but I don't like to go ill prepared on boxing, because I feel like, that's a possibility that I could really get hurt. So when I do a boxing match, I have to train for it ahead of time. When I fought A-Train, I had to train ahead of time. It was a boring match. Sorry, guys. But when you got two counter punchers going against each other, it ain't going to be an exciting match. But that's also why it went 3 rounds, because neither of us pulled the trigger on that one. But anyway, so our biggest names are going to be Gash, Arm & Hammer, Pookie was a big name, Golden Hands. We had fighters like Turco, Turkish Assassin, Simo, Solo. Our more current big names are going to be like Jay Gotham, Viking Warrior, the Terrifier's being consistent. He's fought 2. Scotty's Showtime, 2 explosive. Who else did I forget? Even like Lights Out. He's coming out and doing like 2 or 3 matches in an event. So it just depends. It's just like regular, original Street Beefs. There's like a group prior, like a long time ago, like you got Vandal, all those guys from back then, but now it's like a completely different group of people. So I'm hoping for the West Coast invasion that happens in May, that some of these older names are going to come back and want to represent the scrapyard. I'm trying to get guys like Arm & Hammer, maybe Pookie, maybe Gash can show up. It'd be really neat to have that kind of nostalgic, throwback feel to it. I really want Golden Hands to come back. And man, if you see this Golden Hands, we're all wanting you to come back. So also this month, I got to point out that we're having a title match between Scarecrow, who's one of our older, I guess you could call him an OG. It's hard to say the word OG when we've only been around for like a year, guys. But he was one of the people that's you're not going to get the animal. He has to register for stuff now, I think. So we're if you get what I mean. So you can DM me about that. So, but definitely watch those fighters though. You can basically go to our channel and you can type in most viewed videos, Preacher's Son versus Jay Gotham. I would say Preacher's Son, but I don't think he's going to do that many. Like, I haven't been able to get him to do a fight with us. And I don't know if he's going to do any more fights with us. The Scrapyard's in Gig Harbor, Washington State. We do fights every month, and I put out videos almost every day. So if that's of interest to you, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And then I like to do these chats with you guys. I just kind of like to stay engaged with my fan base. So I think this is the best way to do it, to be honest. No Limit. See, I got to say No Limit too. He's been coming out and doing matches. He's had like 5 matches at the Scrapyard so far. Sir Yeetus, I think we might do another East Coast invasion next year. So I talked to Scarface about it, and I don't want to throw a date out there yet because it's so far off that I don't know. But he says, hell yeah, man. He wants to get out here. He hasn't been out to the Scrapyard yet, but he wants to get out here. Best martial arts start. That's tough. Maybe jiu-jitsu followed by grappling, then box for a bit, continue with the striking art. Yeah. The first few events are so nostalgic at this point. Geez, Gash, look at the whole way we ran things. Like, our ring was a mess. People were getting caught up in the ropes. The cage was definitely the way to go. The fighters haven't really changed. You guys are all just still about like obviously you're all getting better, but I don't think that the fighting has evolved anymore in the Scrapyard. I think that even in the beginning, we had people coming out that were higher level competitors. But yes, it is very nostalgic. Also, if you'd like to look at how I was in front of a camera in the first couple events, I was a train wreck. Yes, yeah, our efficiency has definitely gotten better, Gash. You are right there. The community of Street Beefs is very good. Yes. Yep. You got the main branch. Um, you got our branch. We try to reflect the morals and principles and everything. And are you fostering new talent for the future? I mean, there's always people training and getting better and coming out. I work I work with a couple people. It's really hard in the rain right now, but I wouldn't I would like to create a streamline. I don't want to talk about that right now. I'm basically here for what the fighters want to do. So if they would like to move up after they fight for the scrapyard a few times, like Preacher's Son's doing. Oh, okay. We got Hunter Cortez, the Real Lion, our 205-pound champion, is in the chat of. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can get him in here too. Yeah, we did. We had a beef fight. Like we had a legit beef fight. It was back in I want to say like November. Yeah, I think it was November last year, and it was a couple guys had known each other for a long time. It was kind of different. Like they showed up in the same car, but they were like, "No, we want to fight each other. Like we want to, you know, yeah, we want to fight each other. We've always wanted to see who is better, and if we don't do it here, we're going to do it somewhere else." So I was like, "Yep, come on out." And they fought each other. I reffed it, and it ended up with the one guy basically landing a good shot, and the other guy was like, uh, kind of out on his feet. You say that, Gash, but from what I understand is when they got in the car to go home, they pulled over on the side of the road and had a fight. So, maybe it was just a weird beef because they knew each other and they were friends, but they did have two fights that day, which I don't really like to hear about because I thought we settled it here. Let's see, what do I type if I want to watch one of your fights? Street Beefs, Fire Chicken. You'll find all my stuff. You'll find a lot of BJJ videos, but you'll find stuff from me going against Scarface, going against A-Train, going against Steady Eddie, going against Deadpool. You'll see stuff against I did a boxing match against a guy named The Rose, and then the rest is going to be grappling matches. I do have some MMA fights. I think it's on this channel. You can look under the throwbacks playlist. My old MMA fights are on there in stunning 180p quality. Yeah, it was bad quality because it was like 10 years ago. There he is. There's the champ. What is up? Hunter Cortez, a.k.a. the real lion, not the fake lion. What do I recommend? Well, my first two matches are going to be against, I would say watch my Steady Eddie fight. Fire Chicken versus Steady Eddie. I only had, I think, about 2 years of boxing then. And Steady Eddie was he was a street fighter. But that's going to be main branch. I think, well, for sure he's going to be back for the invasion. But I'm hoping we can get him a fight before then. No, it doesn't. It does not. Now, I do training sessions at the scrapyard. And so if fighters or anybody ever want to hit me up and say, "Hey, can I get some training in?" I can create a what do you call it? A workout plan for that day, and we could work on certain things. And I could do one-on-one, or I could get a couple people out. I don't charge anything, but it would be cool if people donated, for doing that, just because like it takes time out of my day. And as much as I like helping people and everything, it does take time away from other stuff. So, I mean, if people want to come out and train, just throw a little bit in a donation, not required, obviously, but yeah, we're close to 360. I'm actually like, 5 minutes away from 360. Cadillac. How about you email me, bro? Unless you can DM me, whatever. But guys, this is my Gmail for the scrapyard. You can use this if you want to sign up to fight. However, I prefer Facebook because that's got all of the information in it on what's expected of you, what you need to bring, and all that. So Facebook's obviously the way to go there. Okay, cool, man. My latest one was against A-Train, but I wasn't very aggressive in that fight. And like I said, we were both counter punchers, and people are like, "Oh, you guys were just sparring." It's like, no, we weren't. We were just like, not wanting to leave ourselves open for our opponent. So, I mean, have you ever had to deal with bulk and cutting? Yes, I have. What was that weird noise? That was a weird noise. Yeah, not so much bulking. So when I did MMA, I was really into. I'll show you guys too. I was really into weightlifting. Let's see, this is good. You guys are gonna laugh at like the quality of this video, but you guys will laugh. But whatever, Oh wow, I don't even know if that quality of level of film exists anymore. But I'll put it out for you guys. Yeah, okay, Chatterlike, just hit me up on email then, bro. That made that email just to talk to fighters. But that was so anyway. I used to weightlift, so I was about 185, 190 pounds. I cut down to 170 for my fights. So I was a very strong 170. I like to bully my opponents and use basically wrestling, and I didn't have that great of wrestling at the time, but use wrestling and jiu-jitsu to submit my opponents. My striking was meh, not that great. I didn't have boxing yet. 355 was my best weight that I ever put up on bench, and it's on that video. It's really unnecessary, guys. Like, in my opinion, having that amount of strength, it's just really unnecessary. I would get beat by guys that were like 155 pounds because they had skill, and they would just kind of, whittle me down until I was like, I didn't have the strength advantage anymore. They'd find a way to beat me. Yeah, 355. That was a while ago, but you also got like a 20-foot reach, Terrifier. I mean, I got a decent reach. I actually got a decent reach for my size. It's my reach is above average, but yeah, the shorter you are, the less you have to push your muscle or push your arms out, right? Yes, my muscle twitches, fast twitch versus slow twitch. So my type of the way that I had my muscles built back then was different than I do now. Mine are more built for boxing and quick strikes rather than slower grappling, resistance type maneuvers. But the difference is now I have the experience to back up. I have the experience to back up. So, like, if I get put in a position by a stronger opponent, I can use my experience to hold my position, or get out of the position rather than overpower and waste all my energy. I wouldn't want to wrestle with you. It's kind of funny because, like, back then when I was I guess I wouldn't say I was a gym bully, but like, I used my strength, right? So a lot of people did not want to roll with me when I used to train. But yeah, I just wish I could stay where I'm at right now forever. But guys like Anomaly, though, they give me hope. He's like almost twice as old as me, and he's like, I rolled with that guy, and he's freaking tough. Oh geez, but he's a purple belt, man. That's a pretty high level of jiu-jitsu. That takes years to get to that. You could have like 3 taekwondo black belts by the time you get your purple belt. Yeah, Anomaly is solid. He's very solid. Ron's your favorite Street Beast fighter. See, I can't have a favorite Street Beast fighter because I can't pick favorites. I mean, I probably could, but like, I don't want to. Yeah, no, you're right. But back then I didn't have the technique, so being able to use my strength was a way that I got around having that technique. But now it's technique. But I'm still strong. I'm just not benching 355 anymore. But I am about the same weight because like back then I was walking around at 185, and that's what I honestly walk around now. I'm 180, 185. Well, guys, I got to get up and go to work tomorrow, so I got some stuff I got to do tonight. I've really enjoyed this conversation. It's been pretty interactive, which I always love having these interactive conversations with you guys. What was sad, Romeo? No, 165. But anyway, I like having these interactive conversations with you guys. I like staying up to date on stuff. And oh yeah, I you know what? So with that fight against Steady Eddie, I think that's the one you're talking about. He basically was an aggressive street fighter. And what I did was I would roll his big overhand right. Now, there's like 2 things that you can really do from there that I practice. One of them is like a right hook, or if you throw the left hook when they throw the big overhand right and you angle out, then what happens is their momentum that's carrying them forward through their punch that they just missed you because they were trying to take your head off, and then you hit them at the same time, they keep going and then they fall into the ropes. So yeah, I just kind of exploited his telegraphing is what I did. So, and I ended up getting him with a cross. We have a bad angle on it, but it's just a straight cross, and it's like jarring, and it wasn't even full power. I try to tell people that you don't have to hit somebody with 100% of your power to be able to knock somebody out or completely make them googly eyed. It's all about where you hit them. You hit somebody right in the button with 75% of your strength compared to 100% of your strength that is a glancing or a block target, you're going to do more damage with that 75% of your power. It's also easier to recover by yourself, easier for you to recover from throwing something that's not full force, because think about how much momentum you put into a full force punch compared to a 75% or 50% punch. It's harder to take advantage of those openings when the openings aren't as big. That makes sense. No, Mooring Star has only gone 30. He might put 35% up against you, Terrifier. I wouldn't provoke him. He said he's supernova now. That might be 40%. Then it's going to be Super Saiyan Supernova, which will be 50%. Then he'll be like Super Saiyan Supernova Super Blue, which will be like 65%. And then he's going to be able to fly and shoot fireballs. I'm just playing Morningstar. I I've even wanted to meet up with him and train, before. So I got nothing against Morningstar. I pitch him a little bit of crap, but you know what? I pitch Ron crap. I even pitch Terrifier crap, only when I'm not around him though, because I don't want him to pick me up over his head. I'll take hitting someone 8 times with 400 pounds versus a chance at hitting once with 600 pounds. Yeah, there you go. Plus, you know, throwing 100% into a punch that's a blocked or a glanced shot is using more of your stamina than it would if you were putting less effort into it. The key is to finding the right opening and adjusting how much force you want to put into it in those openings. I believe you get that from sparring and mitts. Yeah, but Ivan Drago was on steroids. Hey, you too, Romeo, man. Thanks for checking out my fight too. I appreciate that. But I do, guys, I do got to get out of here. It has been great. I always enjoy these conversations. And until next time, we will be doing a Kicking with Chicken soon. But I want to write down, what I want to do is I want you guys to ask questions ahead of time so that I can write stuff down and stay engaged. I don't want to just go into it like not having anything to talk about. But this one today, I already had something to talk about, and that's what we discussed at the very beginning of the stream. So again, thanks for the participation, and I'll see you next time. Fire Chicken out.